You know what enlightens my mind? Throughout history, humans have built monuments to be remembered. Still, today, we're looking at how one man's desperate need for recognition led to one of the most tragic family stories ever told.
The way you put that makes me think about Absalom's monument, building this massive stone structure while he was still alive. What drives someone to that level of desperation for validation?
Well, here's what's fascinating about this story. Absalom had everything going for him. He was the king's son, lived in luxury, had status and opportunity. Yet something was so deeply broken in his relationship with his father, David, that he felt compelled to literally carve his name in stone.
That reminds me of how people today build their digital monuments through social media, always chasing likes and followers, trying to leave their mark.
Exactly right. And what's interesting is how this story illuminates three fundamental human needs that are just as relevant today: the need for space, grace, and place. Think about it like a garden. You need room to grow, but you also need boundaries.
Hmm. Could you break down how those three elements played out in Absalom's story?
Well, let's start with space. The text suggests that somewhere in this dynamic between David and Absalom, the balance wasn't right. You know how Dr. Dehoney points out that unlike baking a cake or building a wall, you can't just start over with relationships. That's what makes this so crucial,
And I imagine that's especially true in parent child relationships.
right? And then there's grace, which is where this story becomes particularly heartbreaking. David's final lament, "Oh, my son Absalom, my son Absalom, would God I had died for thee," shows this overwhelming love, but by then it was too late.
That connects powerfully with Iris Bolton's words about her son who died by suicide. That raw acknowledgement that some things can't be fixed or understood.
You know what's particularly striking about Bolton's words? When she writes, "I thought I was immortal, that my family and my children were also. That tragedy happened only to others." It's this universal human tendency to think we're somehow exempt from life's hardest lessons.
So, how does this idea of place fit into all of this?
That's where things get interesting. Absalom was so focused on creating his place that he destroyed his natural place in the family. The text mentions he built this monument because he had no sons to carry on his name, but in doing so, he rejected the legacy he already had as David's son.
That seems like such a modern problem, too. People so focused on building their brand that they damage their most important relationships.
And here's what's profound: the text challenges this modern name it and claim it theology. This idea that we can just declare what we want and make it happen often leaves out something crucial: humility and connection to something larger than ourselves.
Well, that makes me wonder, how do we help the next generation avoid these same traps?
The text suggests it's about authentic recognition, celebrating differences and contributions without self aggrandizement. But what's fascinating is how this story shows that our true legacy isn't found in the monuments we build to ourselves, but in the lives we touch.
That's quite different from how most people approach legacy today.
You know what's powerful about this whole story? It's not just about personal tragedy. It's about how individual choices ripple through entire communities. When Absalom built his monument, he wasn't just making a statement about himself, he was creating a symbol of division that affected a whole kingdom.
That brings it home to our modern context, doesn't it? How our pursuit of individual recognition can sometimes tear at the fabric of our communities.
Exactly. And perhaps that's the most enduring lesson from this ancient story: that our proper place in the world isn't something we can force or build ourselves. It's something that grows naturally from our relationships, our actions, and how we treat others. The text reminds us that we all have unique fingerprints, but it's how we use those fingerprints to touch others' lives that matters.